On the political side, Ruben Gallego has a record as a progressive. Mark Kelly, you're more of a centrist. How will the two of you work together in the Senate? Do you see yourself as being compatible and even voting in lockstep?
We've been working together for so many years, even before Congress, before he ran the Senate. But since coming here, we've been working together, especially for priorities for Arizona, specifically on the Armed Services Committee. He's on the Senate side, I'm on the House side. We teamed up together to protect Davis-Monthan for in other programs that are very important in Arizona, veteran programs that are very important in Arizona, and just bigger projects like the CHIPS Act, the infrastructure bill, all these things that we already have an experience working together. So I don't think we're going to have much of a problem working together at all.
Bram, that's right. I mean, Ruben and I have worked together for over 3 years now while I've been in the United States Senate. And we've visited military installations together. We both understand the military. Arizona is a big military state. So together we've had big wins for the state of Arizona, specifically for the Air Force, for the Army, for the Marine Corps down in Yuma. We're going to continue to do that.
Congressman Gallego, this kind of feels like the first day of the rest of your campaign. Now that Senator Sinema is out, I think Chuck Schumer came out for you. Mark Kelly's now out for you. How does your focus change now? Will we see campaign ads on air? What's different now?
There's really not going to be much different. We were always going to run the campaign that we were all going to be proud of, that Senator Mark Kelly is going to be proud of, and Arizona's going to be proud of. We had been traveling the state. Up and down, visiting tribal nations that have never been visited by elected officials, talking to everybody and everywhere. We went to the red parts of the state and sat down with stakeholders there, talking about our water security. We met with many women who are worried about Kari Lake and her extreme stance when it comes to abortion. And we're going to continue running that same election. And because of that, we are going to win this election.
How much does it help you now, though, to have Mark Kelly coming out now that Sinema's out of the race, Chuck Schumer, and likely donors coming out?
I mean, look, Mark Kelly has proven that he knows how to win Arizona. He's a very well-respected senator, and having his backing is huge. And, again, as a Marine, I always depended on the Navy, and looks like I'm going to have to do it again.
And I couldn't be more proud to support Ruben in this race. When Kari Lake was up here on Capitol Hill, I think yesterday. I didn't see her walking around, but she was meeting with some of my Republican colleagues. And just when you consider what she has done to democracy in the state of Arizona, we cannot allow her to have a platform to expand that nationally.
Yep.
I mean, it has been a rough couple of years since that election, specifically because of Kari Lake's fight against democracy.
Yep.
And then when you also consider what she wants to take away from women, I mean, does not support the right of a woman to make a decision about abortion. And I'd be really concerned with how much further is she going to go beyond that. We just voted, or we tried to vote, on a bill that would increase border security for the state of Arizona. Kind of a once-in-a-generation.
Yep. One that you and I supported.
That Ruben supported, that Kari Lake came out against because one person, because the former president said that he didn't want people voting on this bill. He didn't want to solve this problem. She doesn't want to solve the problem. Yep. I mean, she just wants the politics. Yep. And we don't need leaders like that in the United States Senate.
And Bram, just to kind of put an emphasis on this, yesterday in the rotunda of the Senate, when she was having a gaggle with reporters, she was asked, do you still deny that President Biden won the 2020 election and that you lost the 2022 election? And she, again, continues with her election denialism and spreading misinformation and really deteriorating our democracy. We can't have someone that dangerous in the Senate who is just that detached from reality that does not accept a legitimate loss that occurred in 2022 for her.
Senator Kelly, Senator Sinema said yesterday, voters don't value the kind of bipartisan work that you've done. It won't be rewarded at the ballot box. One of the reasons she believes she can't or won't run for re-election. Do you agree with her?
I mean, I've worked with Kirsten on so many issues, working across the aisle, but working with her. She's been a leader on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, marriage equality, gun safety legislation. I mean, she has shown that you can be an effective leader here in the United States Senate by working with Republicans. And I know Ruben can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bram, I think, with all due respect, we are going to try to do our best to continue her legacy. But in my experience, for example, this year I passed the American Child Protection Act with a unanimous vote, support from Republicans and Democrats. I got it through a Republican House and onto the floor. It's a bill that was first introduced by John McCain, and now we got it across the floor. For many years, as Mark knows, because we've worked on this, we had to work with our Republican colleagues to really put together a defense budget every year to make sure that our warfighters out there have the weapons they need and the salaries that they need and the benefits that they deserve. And that happens every year in a bipartisan manner. I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and Senator Kelly has been helping me out since he got here. So we can work in a bipartisan manner. We must work in a bipartisan manner because at the end of the day, Arizonans deserve someone who is going to do that for them so they could actually have a better chance at the American dream.
And Bram, consider for a second that Ruben is committed to working across the aisle with Republicans to get things done for Arizonans. On the other hand, you have Kari Lake in her last election. She's kicking Republicans, moderate Republicans, out of the room.
Yeah.
If you've supported John McCain, get out of the room. We don't need that in the United States Senate.
I mean, just to put a fine point on that, Nikki Haley today dropped out, and what is the first thing that Kari Lake does? She goes onto Twitter and essentially mocks her immigrant name, and essentially is telling all Haley supporters to go find somewhere else. Well, you can find space within the Gallego campaign. We want everybody to work together to move Arizona forward.
One of the big challenges Democratic candidates face this cycle is the man at the top of the ticket, President Biden. He has historic low approval ratings, especially among younger voters. Congressman Gallego, could that drag you down in November?
Absolutely not. We're going to win this election, and we're going to make sure that President Biden also wins this election. We have to talk about where we are going as a country, and there are some good things happening in Arizona. CHIPS Act. If you are a young person, you have a future in Arizona and some of the highest paid jobs that you're ever going to see. Massive investment in green energy. In Pinal County right now, there are 2,500 Lucid Motor employees, and it's going to become the electric vehicle capital of the world. That's because of the work that Senator Mark Kelly, myself, and President Biden did. We're making investments in our water future, so we got some water security. And again, we are the only campaign, President Biden's campaign, that is going to assure women's rights to an abortion. And once our young voters see what the options are, an option that is going to take away their control of their bodies versus someone who's going to give you freedom, they're going to go for the freedom candidate. And that's how we're going to win in Arizona.
That's certainly an issue on the ballot, but what about the grassroots issue, like persisting concerns about inflation, concerns about the president's age? How do you get past that to reach the voters you'll need to win?
Look, without a doubt, we have to, and I'm out there. I feel it. I go to my local Safeway on Baseline and 24th Street, Fry's actually. I apologize. Don't mean to get my friends mad down there. I hear it, and I feel it growing up. And Mark understands this as coming from working class backgrounds. We understand what's happening. Things are getting better, but they could be better, and we're going to work to do that. We're going to continue working to bring down the costs of everyday items, bring more housing into Arizona so people can actually afford to buy a house and rent a place. This is the type of future where people are going to be able to succeed in Arizona, and it's going to be because of the work of Senator Kelly, myself, and this administration. So there is more to do. We have done some great steps forward for the economy of Arizona, but there is more to do. As for an age, I think age is something that it's more of a punditry issue. When the voters look between the two candidates, someone who wants to believe in women and for them to have the rights here in 2024, or someone like Donald Trump who wants to bring the women's movement and women's rights back to the 1950s, where they had to run from their states to get abortions, they're going to look for the person in Joe Biden who's going to guarantee them that future.
And Bram, last Congress, we passed legislation that brought down the price of prescription drugs for seniors. We're negotiating the first 10 drugs to bring down those prices. We've also capped the out-of-pocket expenses This is going to go into effect soon, but at $2,000 a year for a senior on Medicare. We cap the monthly expense for insulin at $35 a month. This is legislation that both Ruben and I worked on. We got across the finish line. And when you consider the option of what Kari Lake would do, not a single Republican voted for that legislation in the Senate. So where Ruben and I are fighting for seniors every single day and fighting for people with health care issues like diabetes, trying to bring down the costs. You know, Kari Lake and the other folks that she would serve with in the Republican caucus are fighting against them.
Kari Lake has said she can work with anybody. Senator Kelly, can you see any issue you could work on with Kari Lake?
Well, I try to find issues that I can work on with, you know, any Republican if it's helping trying to solve the problems that our country's facing. And specifically, you know, when it has a nexus in Arizona. I serve on the Armed Services Committee, the Intelligence Committee, the Environment and Public Works Committee. The CHIPS Act was bipartisan legislation that I led on, that Ruben led on in the House of Representatives. So we're always looking for opportunities. But I think Kari Lake has made it very clear. I mean, she doesn't even want to work with all Republicans. I mean, when you're a Republican running for office, when she ran for governor, and she's kicking John McCain supporters out of the room, that isn't indicative of somebody who wants to work together as a team to solve our country's problems.
Look, and she already had an opportunity to prove that she's willing to go across the aisle. We, and I say we, Democrats and Republicans, decided that we need to act on the border. There is a crisis at the border. We want to work together to bring some stability to that border. Kari Lake took a perfectly good plan that the Senate worked on for 4 months, and without reading it, just threw it out the window because she wants to answer to one person, that's Donald Trump. We're answering to the voters of Arizona. They want a border solution. Kari Lake was not even willing to even take the first step towards that.